There's also another concept I need to introduce to you guys. This is the zero matrix. Basically, it's like the number 0. When you add the zero matrix to any matrix of the same size, you leave it unchanged. So A plus the zero matrix will always give you A, and 0 plus A will also give you A as well. And when any matrix is multiplied by a zero matrix, the result is always a zero matrix. If you have A multiplied by a zero matrix, you will also get 0. Let's take an example here. Imagine you have a 2 by 2 matrix called A, and then we define A as 2, 3, 4, 1. Let's define another matrix that is called Z, and then we call it 0, 0, 0, 0. If you multiply them, you realize that every element will be 0 because all the elements in the 0 matrix will multiply by the element in the first matrix, resulting the sum to be always 0. You will get this. And let's say you have another matrix called Z2, and we call it 0, 0. If you do this, you realize you will get 2 by 1 matrix that is 0 as well. And of course, for multiplication to make sense, you must remember that the number of columns of the first matrix must be equal to the number of rows of the second matrix. Now let's do an exercise that requires some understanding of the properties of the zero matrix. It's a pretty long question, but it's not that difficult. Spend some time understanding this and attend it on yourself on a piece of paper, and then we can go through this once you are done. Here you can see that there are two persons here, Alice and Bob. They are selling 3 products: pen, notebook, and folders. And you are supposed to find out how much money they make. First, let's define the matrix P to represent the price of the product. In this case, we have P be equal to a matrix of 3 rows because there are 3 products. And the first row will be 2, second row will be 5, and third row will be 3. And this represents the price of the 3 products. Remember, the first row refers to pen, second row refers to notebook, third row refers to folder. As mentioned, Alice and Bob did not make any sales for that week. We can define a matrix that is called S, and this will be defined as a matrix of 2 rows. The first row refers to the number of items sold by Alice, and we know Alice sold 0 pen, 0 notebook, 0 folder, followed by Bob, which also sold 0 pen, 0 notebook, and 0 folder. To find the revenue, we can define a matrix R, and then we can define R as a matrix that is S by P. Right? You can see the number of columns of S is 3, number of rows of P is 3, so they match. So this multiplication is possible. And as S is a zero matrix, you know that you end up with a zero matrix. This means that the revenue for Alice and Bob for the weeks is 0. Now, if Alice and Bob continue to make sales for 2 weeks, how will that be represented in the company's record? So previously, we represent the sales with a matrix where the first row refers to Alice and Bob, right? There's 2 ways you can do this. The first way is to combine Alice and Bob's sales result. We now have a new matrix that is called, maybe we can call this C. And then this is the total sales of Alice and Bob in first week. That we define 0, 0. And then now you know there's another 4 weeks. So you can just define another 4 weeks, right? And every row here represent the sales for both Alice and Bob for 1 week. Another way to do this is to define two matrices separately, where one matrix represents the sales for Alice and one matrix represents the sales for Bob. In this case, you will have, for example, two matrices. You can call it D and E. And it's the same thing because you now have Alice and Bob represented differently. So this will be for Alice, and then you have E, this will be for Bob. In a way, the second version is a bit better because basically this C is actually the same as D plus E. So having two separate metrics is actually easier to understand and interpret. Now to the last part. If Alice sold 10 pens, 5 notebooks, and 3 folders, but Bob made no sales, what will be the total revenue generated by Alice and Bob? In this case, now we know that Alice has made some sales, so we can update this. Let's create a new matrix S again, and we know that Alice this time around has sold 10 pen, 5 notebook, and 3 folders, but Bob at the same time still didn't sell any. So remember, this is for Alice, this is for Bob. And then now you do the same thing where you multiply S by P, and with this result you will get 10 multiplied by 2, you'll get 20, plus 5 multiplied by 5 will be 25, and then last one, 3 multiplied by 3 you get 9, and this is still 0, and you will get 45 plus 9, 54, 0. So you know the revenue for Alice is 54, but for Bob is still 0.